Hello, my name is H.A. Pruitt, and I'm the author of the Anathalian series. And in this video, I'm going to do a book review of a portal fantasy, which is the same genre as Anathalian, the books I wrote. But before I do the review, I want to say it's really important to do reviews. It does something for authors that authors can't do for themselves. We write a description of our book, we write a summary of our book, but that doesn't tell potential buyers, like, if readers actually like to read this book. It just says, like, what it's about. But reviews are going to tell, like, on Amazon, if you go down and scroll to the reviews, people thinking about buying the book, it's going to tell them, like, this is what I loved about the book, this is what I didn't love, and it gives them an idea of if they would love the book too. And so if you read a book, please help an author out and review the book. Do a video, put it on your social media, tell your friends, word of mouth, and definitely put it on Amazon and put it on Goodreads or anywhere else you review books, because the more reviews a book has on a certain site, usually, like Amazon does, the more people it's going to show it to. So please review books. It's so important. And so the book I'm going to review today is called The Silver Hand by Noah Lynch. And it looks really huge, but he formatted it in a way I read it really fast. It was, and it's a good book, so I read it really fast. So it looks really huge, but it's not as huge as it looks. So it is a portal fantasy, which I love portal fantasies. It is a young adult, new adult book, like teenage or college age. Totally appropriate for both. Just, it's a college age person is the main character. But I think young adults would get like a good lesson out of it too. So my summary, I gotta hold on my books. My summary, Matthias has, gotta put it down. Matthias has trouble making friends. He's in college and so is surrounded by people his age, but his autism makes it hard to create a connection. Just when Matthias does find two friends, a silver light encases his hand and transports him to another world. He's torn between maintaining his friendship on Earth and helping save another world. And Matthias struggles to find a place to truly belong. So, he has some control over when he goes to this other world. He's in college, he's kind of trying to make friends, and it's not really working. And this portal fantasy, this other world becomes like an escape for him. And helps him out. I really want to try hard not to say too much about the book, about the plot, because a lot of things I like about the book are integral to the plot. But I'm going to try. So my positives. I love portal fantasy. If you haven't figured that out, you haven't been listening. I love portal fantasy. In this book, Matthias, okay, I already said he has some control. And just the concept of there's another world that we real people can possibly go to. It's just exciting. It's intriguing. I love that Noah Lynch worked that idea into this book. That when we feel scared or when we need help, we can escape. And I love that idea. But it's not like an escape that just he gets to shut out his problems. Matthias definitely struggles with what I really love about portal fantasy is when the people can learn from their time in the portal world, in the fantasy world, and bring it back into the real world. And definitely this book has that, where he learns about himself and about his situation and has time to think through things. It's like the kind of escape that you would go in your room and kind of reflect and journal and then come back out into the real world. That's the kind of portal fantasy I love, and that's what this book does. It's not like you can run away from your problems. It's like you can try to run away from your problems, but if you think through them and have help to deal with them and then go back and actually deal with them, that's much better. And that's what this book does, and that's what I love about portal fantasy. So it has the enjoyable parts of portal fantasy in it. Okay, so I enjoyed the fantasy world too. I can't even remember the name of it now. Silly me. It's been a couple weeks since I finished reading this, but I can't remember the name of the fantasy world. But I loved the fantasy world. And its inhabitants were interesting and creative, and its problems, the problems the fantasy world was having, because they were having their own problems. They were thought out. You could tell that the author really put a lot of thought into what's happening in this world, what's going on in this world. It's like a negative, and we'll get there. But I do wish there was more of the world, but still you could tell that there was a lot of world building going on. It just felt like not all of it made it to the book. So, but we're doing the positive right now. And I love that it felt like he thought about the problems and there was a lot going on in their world. And its atmosphere was inviting. Just, I don't want to say too much and give things away, but just like, it just felt like this lovely place that you would want to go to, and the people were inviting, and yeah, that's what I can say. Okay, so I found, the one thing I think I really enjoyed the most was I found the main character, Matthias, very real and very relatable. Like, a lot of books, they make their characters kind of sugar-coated. Like, they say the right things and do the right things, and that always makes me go like, okay, you're perfect. That's, you know, you're beautiful and you're perfect and whatever. But Matthias was kind of like achingly real. Like, you were like, oh, don't say that. Oh, don't do that. But you could see yourself saying and doing the same thing, and you're like, ah, yeah, okay, let's be better people, like him and me. Let's be better people. And it was just so realistic that you could relate to him, even though he made mistakes, had struggles. You were like, ah, me too. How are we going to work through this, man? So, I mean, it felt like a real person was writing this about their real story. The college part, the fantasy world part, you know that's not real. But the college part, it felt so real. Like this was a real story instead of a fiction story. And I loved that. I love characters like that. He had flaws, he made mistakes, he struggled, and I liked him because of those realistic qualities. His problems never magically fixed themselves. I don't like that in books. But they didn't magically fix themselves. He had to actually realize how he was flawed, and then he had to work through his problems. He had to actually solve his problems. And that was really refreshing to see in a book. It's not just like, oh, we suddenly say the perfect things and then everything's perfect. He had to apologize and, make things right. And that's what we have to do in real life. So I appreciated that was in the book. That kind of character encourages me and other readers to grow, and I really appreciated how Matthias, the main character, was written. And the struggle, Matthias's main struggle to find friends, was also very relatable. Everybody wants friends, and Matthias thought he was the only one who struggled to make friends. But the story showed many people share that feeling. Like, we all are like our own little awkward selves. And, like, we feel like I'm the only one who's this awkward little person and everybody else makes friends and I'm bad at it. But the book showed, like, everybody feels like that. Like, we're all human, we're all people, we all think we're weird. And we're really not, because we're all weird. And so we're not weird because we all are. Yeah. And the story showed how even though having friends can be a lot of work, it's worth the work. Introverts like me are like, I don't want any friends because it's just too much to keep up with. But it really is worth the work. The friends I have, it's worth talking to them. And Matthias, the friends he had, it's worth interacting with them because, God made us to interact with people. And that's like what it is. We just need people. We do. Okay. And the last positive I have is all the lessons were very well interwoven into the story. And they were important. They were ordinary daily problems, like making friends and stuff like that. And they were ordinary lessons. And that made them resonate with me, and likely most people. Like, I'm not an elf going to fight the orcs. That's not my main problem. And it's never going to be my main problem. But I can relate to this simple, ordinary, everyday problem of, am I able to make a friend? And am I able to apologize when I mess up? And so I really liked that the problems were what they were. They were very realistic, very relatable, and actually, like, helped you. But they weren't like lessons. It wasn't like, this is how to be a good person. It was like through the story you learned and you grew along with him. And I like books like that don't try to teach you a lesson, but through the story the lesson becomes apparent. Okay. Oh, and juxtaposing the ordinariness, I don't know if that's a word, the ordinariness and the fantasy world helped to highlight how meaningful those lessons were. So just like, putting side by side the ordinary world and the fantasy world, putting those side by side, helped bring out how meaningful those lessons are. Like, it's not a war, but like the battles going on in the fantasy world seem really big and important. But the people in the fantasy world were also interacting with Matthias about his problems in the real world, and you saw how important it was to have these ordinary problems resolved before you could take on the bigger things. Okay. I'm losing my voice. I'm trying. Probably should drink some water. Anyway. So the one negative I have is the story felt like a much longer story squished into a smaller space. Like I said, it seemed like the author had came up with this whole big world. Like there was this whole big world he knew and he came up with, and there's all this stuff going on, and it's just really deep and really vast. But you just like felt that, and you didn't get to see it in the book. Like you're like, I think you came up with this big thing, but I'm only getting to see like, for cliche phrase, the tip of the iceberg. I'm only getting to see like 10% of this amazing world you made. And I wanted to see the rest of the world. It didn't take away from the story because you didn't need to see the rest of the world for the story to be complete. But it was like, I can feel like there's more, and I'm enjoying this so much. I want to know more. I want to dive into this world more. I want to see more. I want to see Matthias in this fantasy world more. But he kept pulling back into the real world. And again, it didn't take away from the story, and it needed to be like that. But still, I was like, I want more of the fantasy world. I want to see more of it. I think there's more of it. And so, like, that's probably the best kind of negative you can have. And so I still gave the book 5 stars. Because in that negative, it was because I enjoyed the book so much, I wanted more of the book. I'm like, can we make this a series and explore the world more? I think that the world would have been fascinating to learn about. And would have made the story even better, but it was left out, and it didn't take away from the story. Like I said, it probably was like it needed to be. The editor and me probably would have said, no, don't put it in there. The reader and me said, put it in there. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Yeah, I just left me curious, and I wanted to know more about this world. So Noah, if you're watching, like, if you wrote more about this fantasy world, people would be interested in it after reading this book. I think they would anyway. More adventures in the world I can't remember the name of, and I feel horrible about. Oh, Silverlode. It was Silverlode. At least the town was. I really enjoyed this book, even though I can't remember details. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this relatable portal fantasy. It had everything I loved about portal fantasy in it, plus more. My voice is going out, so I'm just going to say read this book. If you enjoy portal fantasy, if you enjoy fantasy, if you enjoy realistic stories about relatable characters, if you enjoy reading, read this book. I think it's great. If you enjoy otters, read this book. I'll just leave it there. Okay, so that is The Silver Hand by Noah Lynch. You can find it on Amazon. He has a couple other books you can find on Amazon too. You can follow him. What is it? Silver Hand Publishing on Instagram. He's at Silver Hand Publishing. Follow him, learn about what he's writing. He's writing another book right now. I like reading about what he's writing about. I think it's cool. Super creative stuff. And yeah, follow him, buy his book, read his book, and that is everything about The Silver Hand. So thank you very much for watching. Please like this video. Please leave a comment. Please share this video. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel for more book reviews and book stuff. And yeah, author stuff. Because I've run out of words. And thank you for watching. Bye. If you want to know more about Anna Thalian or H.A. Pruitt, please follow me on Instagram at H.A. Pruitt. You can find me on Amazon as an Amazon author, H.A. Pruitt. Please watch my YouTube channel and all my cool videos on my channel, H.A. Pruitt Anna Thalian. You can find me on the Facebook page, H.A. Pruitt Anna Thalian. You can follow me on Goodreads by the name H.A. Pruitt and the book Anna Thalian. Or you can go to my website where so much cool stuff about Anna Thalian is. The website is hapruitt.com.